Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Blackbird Writers Presents Interviews with Mystery and Thriller Authors. I am Tracy S. Phillips, and today I'm welcoming Margaret Mizushima, who writes Canine Police Procedurals, the Timber Creek Mystery Series. Margaret is an award finalist of the Willa Awards by Women Writing the West. She is a finalist in the Colorado Book Award nominations, and she is a Forward Book Award winner, a Benjamin Franklin Book Award winner, a winner of the Next Generation Indie Awards, and in 2019, she was the Writer of the Year of the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers. Margaret's newest book, Hanging Falls, is the sixth book in her series about a small-town Colorado detective and canine handler, and it was released on September 8th. Welcome, Margaret.
Thank you. It's great to be able to visit with you, Tracy.
I'm so happy to have you here today. I absolutely loved the Hanging Falls. Sorry, I was looking at the other book in the background.
Yeah, yes.
You've got a bunch of books in these series, and the characters I just fell in love with, and you're writing about dogs, which how could you not love that? And all of the nature descriptions of the Colorado mountains. It was really, really fun read.
Thank you.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about how Hanging Falls begins?
I will. In the opening chapter, I'll tell you about what happens. And it really won't be a spoiler because this is chapter 1 that we're talking about. My main protagonist is Deputy Maddie Cobb. She's the canine handler for the fictional town of Timber Creek, Colorado. And she is actually a part of the sheriff's department because the town is so small that they really don't have their own police force. Maddie and one of her friends, Glenna Dalton, who is the wildlife manager in that county, are headed up the trail towards Hanging Falls because they're checking to see what kind of trail damage there is. It has been a very unusual summer there in Timber Creek, and it's monsoon-like, which is very unlike what we're going through this summer with our wildfires to the west of us here in Colorado in the mountains. But it's not unusual for Colorado to have a year that is monsoon-like and for the rivers to flood and to rage. And that's what's happening in Hanging Falls. By the time they get up to the top, Maddie and Glenna are kind of taking a break. They have 2 dogs with them. Glenna has a Rhodesian Ridgeback named Moose, and Maddie has her patrol dog and canine partner with her, a German Shepherd named Robo. They allow the 2 dogs to go off to play, and before they know it, the dogs are down by the lake barking. And so Maddie takes off because Robo is a very valuable animal. The merchants and the townspeople around Timber Creek have paid thousands of dollars for him to be a part of their county law enforcement team. And she's afraid that Robo's gotten himself into trouble or something. But when she gets there, she and Glenna find a fallen tree that is at the base of the lake, and there's a body snagged up in its branches, floating in the water. And that's how chapter 1 ends, with the finding of the body. And of course, these are murder mysteries, so there always has to be a body.
Well, of course. Well, and not to mention the police descriptions, and I loved these characters. So tell us about Maddie Cobb. What do you like best about her?
I think the thing I like best about Maddie is she's very spunky and courageous. Maddie is a complex character. She has lived in Timber Creek for all of the life that she can remember. But if you read the series, you will find out that actually there are a lot of repressed memories that Maddie has about her childhood. And so she really doesn't remember much before the age of 6. She and her brother and mother were living with a very abusive man that she believed was her father at that time. And actually at the start of the series, she believed this man was her father. And one night he tried to kill her mother, and Maddie called the police at age 6. And one of the police officers who came to rescue her was Deputy Abraham McCoy, who, when the series starts, in the first book, he's now the sheriff. And so Maddie works for him. One of the things I love about Maddie is that she is very athletic. She's very strong, and she's a very strong person as far as her belief systems. She's quiet, but she stands up for herself. And one of the things that Sheriff McCoy did when they found out they were going to be able to get this German Shepherd dog is he set up a cross-country race to see which one of his officers, the officers that were vying to be this dog's handler, which one would win. And Maddie beat her male colleagues for being able to handle this dog the first time. And so this is like a dream come true for her to be able to enhance her career by being a canine handler.
And I really liked how you wove in the backstory. Like I said before, I haven't read the earlier books, but I got enough information from you to know what happened in those previous books to her and her life before, and an ongoing investigation sort of with her personally. So that I didn't need to read those books to understand what was going on in Hanging Falls. But now I also want to read those books to find out more about her backstory and what's going on with her.
Good. I'm glad that the books are meant to stand alone, so I'm glad that you felt that way.
Absolutely. So tell us about the male protagonist, Cole. Is there an inspiration behind him?
Yes, there is an inspiration behind him. Cole Walker is a veterinarian, and I've been married to a veterinarian for about 38 years now. So I kind of know that vet life. I especially know the veterinarian's wife life. I have never really worked as a part of my husband's clinic. He's always had vet techs or vet assistants that he's hired, but I have helped him countless times after hours and on weekends in emergencies. And so I always thought so many people love to watch him work. He's a large animal vet, so it's nothing for him to go to a stable and work on horses, and everybody comes around to watch him work. And I thought, when I first started to plan to write a mystery series, I thought, I'd really like to have a vet in this series, but I didn't want it to be an amateur sleuth series, so I needed to create another protagonist. And of course, along came a friend of mine who retired from handling canines in Washington State. And suddenly it just fell together that we had both. But the thing I like about Cole Walker is that he really loves his kids. And through the series, he has begun to really love Maddie. And he understands that she has a very tough background, that she's dealing with lots of post-traumatic stress from her background. And he's there for her no matter what. He's patient and kind, and yet he's tough and firm. And so he's a real mixed bag. In the very beginning, in Killing Trail, the first book, Cole's wife has just left him because he's a workaholic. but it's really much more complicated than that. She's actually been going through a terrible bout of depression, which, because Cole is a workaholic, he didn't even know about. And so the third book in the series, Hunting Hour, actually the theme of that book is mental health. And so a lot of those issues that his wife has been dealing with, she comes back to town. And so a lot of that kind of comes to light in the third book, whereas books 1 and 2 are really more Maddie's story.
Yeah. So then there's another very important character in this book.
Yes, Robo.
Yeah.
I did decide that Robo needed to be a character, definitely needed to be a character. But I didn't want to anthropomorphize him. He is a dog.
Yeah.
And I strive to portray him like a real patrol dog. He is definitely a very well socialized German Shepherd. So he can be extremely friendly to the kids. He's a wonderful piece to Maddie's Just Say No program in the schools. But he's trained to apprehend a fugitive and to bite and hold and take that fugitive down. So he can be as vicious as she needs him to be, and then he can turn right around and be just a lovely personality. That's not the case with all dogs who work in law enforcement. And
I was going to say, yeah, not all police dogs are friendly that way. They're working dogs.
That is for sure. And he's inspired actually by this friend of mine's real dog. He was a German Shepherd and his name was Robo. He has since died of old age. Oh. But she just has told me so many stories about him, and he was just like that. And he could win police dog trials. He could search out drugs. He could backtrack a fugitive and find evidence along the trail that the fugitive may have tried to hide or may have dropped. And so that's really what inspired Robo's character. One of the stories my friend told me about was his final day on the job when they were searching a warehouse and they didn't realize explosives were there. Her dog was trained for narcotics detection. And the bomb went off in the building and deafened Robo. Didn't kill him, thank goodness. But at that point, he had to retire and he became her pet. And she was able to keep him until he died of old age. I didn't get to meet him, unfortunately, but he was already gone by the time I got to see her. So
well, that's a wonderful story.
Yes, these dogs are so courageous too.
They really are, and they're good workers.
Yes, for sure.
So what other kinds of research have you done for these mysteries?
I had to do quite a bit of research for the law enforcement piece because even though my husband and I did some training in search and rescue with a couple of our dogs back when we were in our 30s, several decades ago. So we did that. And so I understood the nose work or the tracking. Mm-hmm. But I've never worked in law enforcement. So I had to do a lot of research for the police aspect of the book. I am also a great dog observer. We have 4 dogs of our own, and I like to observe the way they interact with each other and the different poses they have. I think most of us enjoy that, most of us who are dog lovers. But I've had to do, I've observed canine training, I've done ride-alongs, I've done some shadowing. of police officers, and my friend was training for AKC tracking. She had some clients who wanted to go through that, and so I shadowed her. I have a friend who does narcotics detection in schools, and I've been able to observe her training her dogs. So all of that kind of research went into the series. And then for each book, the additional research I have to do is related to whatever the theme of the book is. I mentioned already that Hunting Hour has a mental health theme. And so I like to really dig into whatever the theme is. Books have had themes such as wildlife trafficking, polygamy, different family issues, drug running and drug smuggling, those kinds of things. So every book demands some kind of research, and then put that together with the police procedural piece, and put that together with the veterinary medicine piece, because I always want Cole Walker to also be involved in determining some kind of information that helps Maddie solve the case. So all those things have to be woven together by the end of the book.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing more of what happens between Cole and Maddie, and also going back and reading her earlier stuff. So I want to find out what happened with her as a young person, and how that has affected her police work and everything. So
one thing Maddie is very focused on, and her mission is protecting kids. That's kind of one of the things that's overrides the series as well. What happened to her has left her with that goal in her life. But like you said, the books can stand alone, but they start with killing trailing. And can I show you my covers?
Yes.
May I show you my book covers? So this is Killing Trail, the first book in the series, and it starts really with some of the basics, and we don't really understand exactly what's going on with Maddie, but we understand how it is affecting her life. She's a loner in the first of the story, and she's just starting to learn how to make friends, which is one of the things that really has that Robo has helped her with. And she's gained confidence in being able to socialize. And then the second one is Stalking Ground. And I love the snow trees. When it snows here, the trees out in my backyard look just like that. So I love those snow trees. This book too is where we find out what actually happened to Maddie when she was a child. And then Hunting Hour is the book that focuses on mental health issues. And then the fourth book is called Burning Ridge. And this is the book that has won the most awards. And Maddie's past comes back to haunt her. And she and Robo are abducted in this book by a killer. And so that's all we need to talk about with that one. And then book 5 is Tracking Game. And it won one of the finals in the Willa Awards with women writing the West. Tracking Game is really Maddie and Cole's love story. So finally they're able to get together in Tracking Game. And this is the one that has the theme of the wildlife trafficking. So and it also has a little bit more of me in it, because it's set on a cattle ranch near Timber Creek. And that's kind of my background. I grew up on a cattle ranch near Saguache, Colorado, which is a really small mountain town. But thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to show you all those covers. And then of course, Hanging Falls
Right.
is the book that's coming out.
Right. Well, that came out on September 8th. And you can read more about Margaret and at blackbirdwriters.com and on her website as well. And I hope that we'll see you around the website and on social media for more conversation about the Timber Creek Mysteries from Margaret Mizushima. And so thanks so much for coming on. And it was great to see you today.
Thank you, Tracy. I really appreciate your time, and it's wonderful to visit with you.
Thanks so much.
Bye for now.